Beryl is a 40-year-old swordsman running a small dojo in a very remote village. When he was young, he used to dream of becoming the world's greatest swordsman. But those days are long gone, and now he has accepted that he is just above average when it comes to his sword skills. Though he could not make a name for himself as a swordsman, Beryl has discovered that he has a talent for teaching, and he uses it to teach the students of nearby villages, keeping his family's legacy of swordsmanship alive. Many of his students have made a name for themselves in the world, and thanks to that, he feels completely satisfied with his slow life. But his parents are not. They want him to marry and give them cute grandchildren to spoil. And Beryl struggles to explain to them that he is an incel who can't pull a girl even if he wants to. One day, as they are eating lunch and the old-timers are pressuring Beryl to get a wife, someone knocks on the door. Beryl quickly goes to open the door in order to get away from his parents' nagging, but he is surprised to see his former student standing in front of him. He welcomes her inside, and Lucia informs Beryl that she has recently been promoted to the commander of Royal Knights. Beryl is impressed on learning this, and Lucia tells him that apart from her other duties as the commander, she also teaches the knights swordsmanship. She says that she recommended Beryl's name as a special instructor for the Royal Knight Order, and the Imperial family accepted her recommendation. Beryl doesn't understand what is going on, but Lucia shows him his appointment letter with the seal of the Imperial family. Beryl thinks that this is some sort of April Fool prank, but his dad reads the letter to find that he will be seriously punished if he refuses. Lucia then informs Beryl that her carriage is waiting outside, and they will reach the capital in just one day. Beryl is not sure about it yet, but his dad tells him to go to the capital and find a good wife. He even jokes that he should try dating Lucia, and while Beryl discards the idea because of the age gap, Lucia would totally let him hit. In the end, he has no choice but to accompany her. Beryl suddenly spots that Lucia still has the sword he gave to her when she graduated, and says that this ordinary sword no longer suits the commander of Royal Knights. Lucia denies that, saying that this is the only sword she will ever use, and Beryl thinks that she is saying this because she respects him a lot as her master. He, on the other hand, is pretty damn sure that he is not fit to be a special instructor. Lucia suddenly starts talking about how excited she is for Beryl. She tells him that he is already considered a legend among swordsmen because his students quickly reach the highest level wherever they went. He has been nicknamed the Backwater Swordmaster, but Lucia doesn't like the nickname too much. Beryl doesn't really care about it though, because he thinks that he is not even a decent swordsman. Forget being a swordmaster. After a few hours, they finally reach the capital city, and Lucia shows Beryl to an inn for the night. The next morning, she takes him to her knight order and introduces him as her master, who is way stronger than her. Beryl panics after this hype-building introduction, but he keeps his speech a short and humble one. After the speech, Lucia tells Beryl that he has to instruct the knights every Sunday, which is his day off in the village dojo, so it will not be too difficult for him. Just then, another female knight comes running towards them, calling Beryl master, and he recognizes her as Kuruni, one of his most hardworking students. He praises her, saying that she has become a fine knight just like she always dreamt of, and Kuruni replies that she is excited to learn from him again.
以上の経緯からなおガーデナント氏はでは先生一言お願いします。
に預かりましたベリル・ガーデナントです。色と荷が重すぎる。いますのでどうぞよろしくお願いします。大丈夫ですかね。
お渡しした書類にありますように、先生素晴らしい挨拶でした。先生お久しぶりっす。に走ってはいけません。おはいっす。自分なんてまだまだっす。
夢が叶って何よりだ。
我々門弟が先生を盛り立てますので、また先生に教えてもらえるの。
After that, Beryl returns home, and he is surprised to find that another one of his students has come to visit him. The guy, named Randrid, gets up to greet his master, and then Beryl notices that he has brought his wife and baby with him too. Beryl's father suddenly tells him that he is no longer needed in this village and asks him to settle in the capital to do his job full-time and, more importantly, to find a wife. Beryl is utterly dumbfounded by this, but Randrid soon explains the situation to him. After having a baby, he and his wife decided to move to a peaceful village, and he also quit his job as an adventurer even though he was at the highest rank. Beryl's father adds that this works in their favor as well, because Randrid knows their teaching style very well, and while Beryl works in the capital, he can handle the dojo here. Beryl realizes that he is no match for his father's cunning wit, and he accepts to let Randrid teach at the dojo while he stays at the capital. The next day, he returns to the capital and tells the entire story to Alucia while searching for a house. Alucia suggests that he stay with her, but Beryl quickly shoots down the idea and her hopes of jumping him. To change the topic, Alucia suggests they have lunch first, and Beryl agrees. But just then, someone calls Alucia's name, insulting her for being with a man when she should be doing her duty as the Knight Commander. Beryl feels bad that Alucia is being taunted because of him, and he hides his face, but she tells him that the girl who insulted her is stupid, so they shouldn't take her words seriously. She walks away from the redhead who keeps following her angrily, and even pulls down Beryl's map to see his face. While Beryl's eyes go to her black adventure plate first, the redhead falls completely silent on seeing him. She starts calling him Master as well, but Beryl has no idea who she is. The woman tells him that it has been 20 years since they last met, and even if he doesn't remember her face, he should remember the orphan named Shurna that he took in and trained in swordsmanship. Beryl suddenly remembers about her and realizes that she has changed a lot. Shurna apologizes for not reaching to him earlier to tell him about her success, but Beryl understands that people get busy when they grow up. Shurna then asks, "What is he doing with someone like Alucia?" Alucia gets offended by this question and explains that Beryl is the special instructor of her Knight Order and she is helping him find a house. Shurna claims that she can help him more with that because she works as a broker part-time, and Beryl suddenly feels that he should not step in between the two of them. Anyway, Shurna helps him find a good place to rent, and Beryl asks her and Alucia to be on better terms with each other. The next day, Alucia leads him to the Knight Order's training ground so that he can start his duty. She tells everyone to get in line, but then her Vice Commander Henblitz steps forward and challenges Beryl to a duel so that he can see if he is strong enough to teach the Royal Knights. Alucia accepts the challenge without even consulting Beryl, and he can't go back on her word now. As he gets ready to face Henblitz, the knights start gossiping about him, saying that he doesn't look strong or skilled enough to teach them. Beryl completely agrees with them, and then Henblitz also tells him that he thinks Alucia is making a mistake because she respects her master too much, but he will correct that mistake. With that, Alucia gives the signal to start the duel, and Beryl decides to at least look cool while he gets beaten to save his student's reputation. Henblitz suddenly dashes towards him and begins swinging his sword furiously. Beryl only dodges his powerful attacks, but then he deflects his sword's direction just by a small degree, leaving Henblitz completely unguarded and hitting his chin. Beryl gets concerned about hurting him because he planned to stop. Both the fighters get back to the starting position to resume the duel, and this time, Henblitz decides to use his full power. Beryl realizes that Henblitz is faster and stronger than him, but his moves are super easy to read and deflect just by changing his direction a little bit. Henblitz gets pissed when Beryl deflects his sword, so he decides to unleash his ultimate move by spinning rapidly. However, when he lands on the ground, his sword doesn't hit anything, and Beryl is already behind him, tapping his shoulder with his sword to claim victory.
そうだね。
私はそれを正すべき立場にある。
君は間違ってない。
では始めてください。
師団の誉れは
凄まじいな。切ればすまない。
お気遣いは無用から打ち砕くのみ。
ども威力も俺よりはるかに上。
Henblitz is completely bamboozled, but he quickly admits defeat and then turns into Beryl's fan, treating him to dinner at a bar to apologize for being rude earlier. He keeps praising Beryl and asks how he dodged his spinning attack earlier, and Beryl replies that he just matched his spin and used it to his advantage. He tells Henblitz that if he had been less rigid in his approach, he would have won the duel, and the Vice Commander gets really excited to learn such fine details from him in the future. Soon after that, Beryl starts teaching the knights seriously. As he teaches two knights about using their opponent's focus on their sword to close in the distance between them, everyone stops to listen to him. Beryl feels that they are giving him unnecessary attention, because this is just common sense that he got from his experience. After concluding the teaching session, Beryl takes a break, and Hen offers him a towel. Beryl remembers how intense the guy was during their first sparring match, but thanks to that, everyone respects him now. Suddenly, Kuruni comes running and offers to show Beryl around the city if he has no plans for the day. He tells her that he is free and takes up her offer. When Hen also insists that he see the city, on the other hand, Alucia is delivering her weekly report to the royal officials, who are quite curious about the performance of Special Instructor Beryl. Alucia assures them that Beryl has exceeded everyone's expectations already, and then leaves the room. She suddenly starts thinking about how she first met Beryl, when her parents moved to a nearby village and enrolled her in his dojo. Alucia was a bit shy back then, but when she saw Beryl for the first time, she thought he was a kind and trustworthy guy. The training he put her through was quite unique, because it focused on making her entire body stronger and more efficient. Though she did not get the point of the training at first, she kept on doing it, because Beryl praised her for even the slightest things she did well. By the end of the year, she could feel the difference in her abilities. One day, Beryl decided to spar with his two best students, Randrid and Alucia, to test their progress. When Alucia's chance came, she couldn't find any opening in Beryl's stance. But the moment he moved his arm slightly, she tried attacking him, only to get defeated within a split second. She was taken aback by this, but Beryl praised her, saying that she had good instincts because she found the correct time to attack him. Alucia couldn't understand what he meant back then, but soon, Beryl took his students to another school to compare their skills with the students there. Alucia found that her opponent's stance was pathetic, and it didn't take much effort for her to score the winning point against him. The rest of the students won their bouts as well, and when they were on the way back home, Alucia asked Beryl if their dojo was too strong. He just replied that she should not think about winning and losing too much, and rather focus on learning from every chance she gets. Suddenly, Alucia realized that she forgot her hairpin at the dojo and immediately ran back to get it. However, the students of that dojo were already waiting for a grudge match. They told her that she would have to fight them for real to get her hairpin back, but when Alucia refused, they decided to attack her anyway. Luckily, Beryl arrived there just in time to take the attack on his back to save his student. The jerks from the dojo tried to attack him, but Beryl quickly took the sword of their leader and pushed the others back before picking up Alucia's hairpin. This frustrated them, and he took his friend's sword to attack Beryl while he was bending down. But just then, his master came there and stopped him. The jerk tried telling his teacher that Beryl's students humiliated them earlier, so they were just getting even. But the wise man told him to shut the hell up. He told his students that they lost because they are not skilled enough, and no matter how many of them gather, they won't be able to beat Beryl. The man then kneeled down, apologizing on behalf of his students, but Beryl told him that it was no big deal.
寸止めなんかで勝った気になってんじゃねえ。
お断りします。
取れ。文句はねえよな。
先生。
どけ。物音がするので戻ってみたら見てわからんのかバカ者。でも舐められたままじゃそれだけのことだ。
まあ
どうかお許しいただきたい。
With that, he and Alucia headed back home, and she kept staring at the hairpin the entire time. She apologized to Beryl since he got hurt because of her, but he told her that it was nothing. He said that he should have gone with her from the start to avoid the situation, but it was all good since she didn't get hurt, and Alucia suddenly started crying on hearing this. Soon after that, Beryl and Alucia had another sparring match, and this time, she used his technique against him and won a point. Both of them were surprised by this, but Beryl accepted that he could not teach Alucia anything more now. He gave her a real sword as her graduation gift, and even though Alucia did not want to leave him, she accepted his decision. After leaving Beryl's dojo, she immediately went to the capital city to prove to the world that her master's sword skills were the best. She took the exam to join the Knight Order and defeated her opponents instantly. Even the examiners who tried to test her lost against her. Because Alucia found they were much slower than Beryl, she joined the Knight Order with full marks and then quickly made her way to the top. Throughout her journey, she realized that no one in the entire Night Order could compare to Beryl, and she decided that she would not let him waste his life and talent in the countryside. So, when she became the commander of the Royal Knights, she recommended his name to become a special instructor and brought him to the capital. Now she feels that in the 10 years she was away from him, he has become even sharper and stronger. After coming out of her nostalgia, Alucia goes to the training hall and finds the knights practicing with each other. Hen tells her about the things Beryl taught them today, and then reports that Kuruni is taking him on a tour of the city right now. Alucia gets jealous on hearing this, because she wanted to show Beryl around the city on a date. Meanwhile, Beryl is marveling at how big the city is when he suddenly runs into a magician named Feast. She calls him master like everyone else, but Beryl doesn't even remember her. Feast acts sad that he can't remember her. And only after she shows him the graduation sword he gave her, he realizes that she used to be one of his students as well. He remarks that she has changed so much that he can't even recognize her now, but Face is not pleased with his answer. Kuruni joins the conversation and tells Beryl that Face is now a powerful wizard with the magic division now, and that shocks him because he doesn't remember her being able to use magic. Feast startles him by creating a fireball out of thin air, and Beryl is impressed because only the most talented and hardworking people can become wizards. He is a bit sad that Face has left her swordsmanship skills behind, but he is also proud of her. Just then, they hear a woman scream as a thief steals her purse. Beryl and Kuruni get ready to catch him, but Face stops them because she wants to deal with the situation herself. She draws her sword and then charges it with magic before sending a flying slash towards the thief. The magic slash ties the thief's legs together, causing him to fall to the ground. Kuruni immediately puts him under arrest. Feast then proudly tells Beryl that she uses the sword skills he taught her in the form of her unique sword magic, and he feels even more proud of her.
私はなしでもできる。すごく頑張った。私がやる。はい、おとなしくするっすよ。犯罪の取り締まりも。
いい連携だ。剣術にこんな応用が。
お礼を言うのは私の方。
The next day, Beryl wakes up early to go on a morning walk around the city, when he suddenly hears someone calling him from behind. As he turns around, he finds a girl talking to him, and he asks her if she is lost. The loli gets offended because Beryl is treating her like a kid, and then introduces herself as Lucy, the commander of the Magic Corps where Feast works. Beryl still thinks that the loli is just a girl playing games, so she creates a huge fireball to show him that she is the real deal. He finally believes her after seeing the fireball, and Lucy invites herself over to join him on the walk. She tells Beryl that Face told her a lot about him, and that made her realize how strong and skilled he was. Beryl acts humble and says that he is just a regular country bumpkin, but Lucy doesn't believe him. Instead, she leads him to an open area in the middle of the city and tells him that she is obsessed with magic and always tries to improve herself. Beryl replies that he gets her because he does the same with his swordsmanship, but he doesn't realize what Lucy is planning. She tells him that she wants to test her skills against a strong opponent, and then suddenly launches an attack in his direction. Beryl dodges the attack thanks to his quick reflexes, and then draws his sword because he realizes that Lucy is serious about fighting him. Lucy asks Beryl if he doesn't want to test how much he has grown against her. She asks if he doesn't think she is a strong enough opponent for him, and Beryl replies that he is the one who is not strong enough. Lucy tells him that they will find it out after the fight, and then combines her smaller fireballs into a huge one to yeet at him. Beryl dodges the giant fireball at the last moment, but Lucy doesn't give him a break. She keeps shooting fireballs at him, and Beryl barely manages to dodge all of them. Immediately after that, Lucy creates sturdy ice crystals and throws them at Beryl, but since they are solid, he doesn't have much trouble slashing them in half. Lucy decides to go back to shooting fireballs, and Beryl dashes towards her, aiming to knock her out quickly. He reaches dangerously close to her, but just before he can hit her, Lucy unleashes a firestorm from her body, forcing him to back away. Beryl tells her that it is cheating if she protects herself like that. But Lucy has more surprises for him. She suddenly creates some floating fireballs behind Beryl that chase after him no matter where he runs. He dodges all the attacks, almost losing his balance many times, but Lucy is impressed. She asks him if he has ever fought a wizard before, and he replies that she is the first one. Lucy stops her fire attack on hearing this and sends a giant ice block towards Beryl, who deflects it towards her instead. Lucy simply vaporizes it with fire, and using the steam as his cover, Beryl decides to land the finishing blow on her. However, Lucy was ready for that, and she electrocutes him mid-air and throws him back. She tells Beryl that he is even better than she expected, and he deserves seeing her ultimate attack. She starts gathering her magic for the ultimate attack, and as Beryl sees the space around her get distorted, he realizes that he will be done for if he gets hit by the attack. Luckily, Lucy changes her mind at the last moment and cancels the attack. Beryl nervously asks her what would happen if her ultimate attack hit him, and she says that he would be minced meat, quite literally. She then praises him, saying that he is really strong, and now she understands why Face looks up to him. Beryl replies that he was no match for her, and if she was serious about fighting, he would have been defeated and dead long ago. Lucy laughs at his humility and tells him to come by the magic division sometimes so that she can repay him for suddenly attacking him. Beryl is glad to receive that offer, but when Lucy tells him that he is going to be her guinea pig to test new attack spells on, he immediately refuses to meet with her ever again. Later that day, as Beryl returns from training the knights, he runs into Face, who is delivering magic potions to the Knight Order. She also has a bottle of expensive wine to apologize for Lucy's actions. Beryl decides to accept the bottle, and just then, Alucia comes there. Face takes her leave, and Alucia tells Beryl that she has something important to discuss with him. She tells him that Sherna recommended his name to train new adventurers before they start their careers so that they don't die in the first dungeon raid itself. Those words remind Beryl of his first dungeon raid where he got clapped by some monsters and never went back. Alucia tells him that there is no issue from the Knight Order if he wants to take any side gigs, so Beryl decides to talk with the Guildmaster first. Sherna leads him to the Guildmaster's office, but to his surprise, Lucy is also there for some business. Guildmaster Nidus greets Beryl, saying that he has high hopes for him since he trained a great adventurer like Sherna. Even Lucy recommends him for the job. And Beryl realizes that he won't find a way to refuse this job now. However, when the Guildmaster's assistant arrives there and begins questioning Beryl's qualifications, he sees a ray of hope that can save him from the job. The assistant says that even though Sherna, Alucia, and Lucy trust Beryl, the guild needs to see his skills before hiring him. He suggests that Beryl should spar against Sherna so that they can judge his skills, and Beryl realizes that he is in even deeper now. He can't refuse and goes to the training ground, and all the adventurers gather there because they have never seen Sherna deem anyone worthy enough to duel with. However, all Sherna can think of is that she is finally getting her chance to show her skills to her teacher. She remembers the time when her parents were traveling to a nearby city to sell some goods, but then a monster attacked them. Her mom pushed her into the river below so that she would survive, and it was her fortune that Beryl found her. He brought her home and helped her get better physically, but her mind was in tatters because of her parents' death. She was not interested in anything, but then she saw Beryl practicing his swings. He asked her to give it a try herself, and soon found herself getting more and more interested in swordsmanship. Beryl kept teaching her patiently, and gradually, Sherna started recovering mentally as well. Beryl noticed that she was quite agile, so he suggested that she use twin swords instead of one, and that became her style. Then one day, a well-to-do family from the city adopted her, and Sherna had to leave Beryl's house before she could even graduate. She left with tears in her eyes and decided to become an adventurer so that she could save people and use the skills Beryl taught her. Now, as she faces her teacher after 20 years, she feels nostalgic, and so does Beryl. He decides to give it his all so that his student is not disappointed in him. Just as the fight starts, Sherna leaps high in the air to attack him. Beryl blocks her initial attacks while getting pushed back, but he soon starts gaining control of the situation. He is still having trouble keeping up with her pace, but Sherna is thrilled to see that she can't land a single hit on him despite trying seriously. She is happy that she can live out her dream of fighting her teacher seriously, and Beryl is also proud of her for never neglecting her training even after she left his dojo. He realizes that she is better than him in speed, strength, and stamina, but he finds one weakness in her fighting style. As Sherna lunges to attack him again, he thrusts his sword through her arm guard and makes her drop it. Sherna tries to attack him with her other sword, but she is wide open now, and Beryl easily trips her. She falls to the ground, and Beryl points his sword at her, telling her that the fight is over.
先生の元を離れて20年。
うちの礼を覚えていてくれている。
参ります。
とんでもないスピードだ。
当たらない、当たらない。
一本かな。
ありがとうございました。
Sherna is really happy that she lost and thanks Beryl, and the crowd goes crazy on seeing such a high-level fight. Sherna tells him that, as she expected, she is not good enough to beat her teacher yet. Beryl tells her that if the fight had gone on for 10 more seconds, he would have lost, but he noticed in time that she has still not mastered her left hand yet. Just then, Lucy and others also come there, clearly impressed by Beryl's skills. The assistant apologizes for doubting his skills, and then the guildmaster asks him to start teaching the new adventurers at the earliest. Only then does Beryl realize that he should not have shown his skills because now he can't turn down the job. The next day, Beryl and Sherna lead a team of 3 newbies into a beginner-level dungeon. Despite being nervous, the newbies successfully explore the dungeon and hunt the goblins they find, and Beryl doesn't get the chance to teach them anything. He is satisfied with this. But as they are heading outside, Sherna says that it is odd that there were so few monsters inside the dungeon. Suddenly, the monster detecting device with the adventurers explodes, but they don't pay it any mind and head outside. Beryl notices the presence of a strong monster outside, but he is not quick enough to alert the newbies in time, and one of them gets attacked by a griffin. Beryl and Sherna rush outside and find that the newbie is still alive despite his injuries. But the more worrisome news is that they are facing an extremely dangerous S-rank monster. Beryl curses his luck for bringing such a powerful monster here on the first day of his job. He asks Sherna if she has any potions, and she affirms. Beryl is glad to hear that, and he thinks that while Sherna holds the monster back, he can treat the injured newbie. He stretches his hand towards her, asking for the potion. But Sherna just thinks that he is asking her to tag him. So she does just that, and tells Beryl that she agrees with him, and it will be better if a master like him fights the monster. She immediately runs away to save the boy, and Beryl is bewildered. However, he doesn't have any time to clear the confusion because the griffin attacks him, and he quickly dodges it. Beryl takes his stance, realizing that he has got no other choice but to fight. The monster keeps attacking him with its claws, and Beryl keeps getting pushed back little by little as he tries to parry its strikes. He suddenly finds an opening and strikes the monster's leg, but it is too hard for his sword to cut, and he realizes that he will be dead meat if even one attack hits him. The monster keeps pushing him back, and then Beryl gets distracted as he sees Sherna carrying the injured boy into the cave. The monster hits him, tossing him away and injuring his arm. Beryl decides to change his strategy and charges head-on towards the griffin, but it breathes a fireball that narrowly misses him. Next, Beryl decides to approach the monster from the side, but it turns around and uses its tail as a heavy whip to push him back. However, Beryl powers through and cuts the monster's tail, making it really angry. The monster breathes another fireball at him, and right after that, it tackles him with full strength, dragging him through the forest. Beryl somehow climbs on the griffin's back, but then it suddenly takes to the skies, shattering the sound barrier as it tries to throw him off its back. Beryl holds on tightly, and in the end, the monster brings him back to the starting point. But this time, it doesn't hold back its powers. The griffin uses domain expansion and turns the ground under it to lava, forcing Beryl to step back. However, the griffin's powers extend into the cave where the newbie adventurers are taking shelter, and they find themselves playing a very high-stakes game of the floor is lava. As Beryl hears one girl screaming, he realizes that he can't wait any longer. He runs on the lava, attacking the griffin from different directions to confuse it. The griffin starts spamming fireballs at him, but Beryl uses the explosion to propel himself forward. Using the extra momentum, he manages to pierce the griffin's eye, but his sword breaks in the process. Beryl fears that this is the end when suddenly he sees Shurna jumping off a cliff and heading straight towards the griffin. She pins the monster down and without wasting a moment, cuts off its head.
手間取ってる暇はないな。
She thanks Beryl for helping her take down an S-rank monster, and he tells her that he didn't even do anything. Beryl then asks about the injured noob's condition, and Shurna tells him that he will pull through. After that, Shurna and Beryl go to the guild headquarters and show the proof of killing an S-rank monster to the guild master. He can't believe that they killed such a dangerous monster while protecting 3 newbies. And Shurna says that they all survived only because Beryl was there. He doesn't even get to tell the guildmaster that Shurna dealt the killing blow because the guildmaster begins thanking him and asks how can he repay him for it. He offers to make him a high-ranking adventurer right away, but Beryl instantly refuses that offer because he is not interested in risking his life each day. After that, the guild sends a team to recover the griffin's body, and Shurna thanks Beryl for what he did today. He refuses to take too much credit and says that they won without any casualty because she made all the right decisions. The next day, Beryl asks for Kuruni's help because he needs to find a skilled blacksmith to repair his sword. Alucia tags along purely out of jealousy, but tells Beryl that she will help him choose a new and better sword that fits his strength and skills. Once they reach the blacksmith shop, Beryl immediately recognizes the blacksmith as Boulder, one of his former students. Even Boulder is surprised to see his teacher after such a long time. And Alucia is surprised that even people who can be classified as uncles have learned from Beryl. Beryl explains that Boulder was his only student who was older than him. He wanted to make better swords, so he joined his dojo to learn how a swordsman actually uses them. Beryl tells him that he is glad to see that he has opened his dream shop, and Boulder is grateful to him for that. He then asks everyone their business, and Kuruni asks him to sharpen her short sword. Boulder takes one look at it and tells her that it is too damaged to be repaired and she should just get a new one instead. Alucia is surprised by this because Kuruni doesn't use her short sword roughly. Beryl asks her how the sword feels in her hand, and she replies that it feels nice and light. Both Beryl and Boulder immediately understand that a short sword is not the right pick for Kuruni, because she is not feeling the weight of her weapon. He suggests her to try a bigger sword, and Kuruni likes it, so she decides to buy it. After that, Beryl starts looking for a sword that fits him, and Alucia suggests that he get one custom made for him. He tells her that he doesn't want anything so fancy, and just then Shurna comes to the shop as well. As usual, she and Alucia start throwing shade at each other, and Beryl tries to stop them. He asks Shurna what is she doing here, and she immediately places the leg of the griffin they hunted the other day on the table, telling Boulder to make a long sword for Beryl out of it. Beryl tells her that he can't accept it because she was the one who defeated the monster, but Shurna refuses to hear any logic. She tells him that he lost his sword because of her, so she must give him a new one. Boulder also supports her, and in the end, Beryl has to accept the sword. Boulder is pretty thrilled about making a sword out of a S-rank monster's part, and he asks Beryl for a week so he can do his best. Beryl has no problem with that, and he says that it is time to leave the shop. But then Kuruni asks him to train her to use the big sword properly. He takes her to the training grounds and teaches her how to swing the sword without getting overwhelmed by its weight, and then heads to the local bar to have a drink. He leaves the bar in a good mood. But as he is crossing the street, a thief tries stealing his purse. Beryl quickly catches her in the act, but the thief blasts him with a fire spell to escape. She goes to the hideout of a local gang and gives them all the money she has stolen today. The gangsters are disappointed because it is less than usual, and they complain that she is slacking. But their boss knows that the girl won't do that because she has to earn her keep. The girl named Mui stays silent throughout this conversation, but then she realizes that she dropped her pendant, which has been picked up by Beryl. The next Beryl spars with Henblitz to see how much he has improved and finds that he is getting better and more crafty in using his sword. However, he is still not at the level where he can land a strike on Beryl. But he is pleased by his performance. He promises that he will keep getting better. And though Beryl is proud, he also realizes that he needs to work harder himself so that his students can become better. As the two of them talk about the training process, their attention goes to Kuruni, who is still getting used to a long sword. Beryl compliments and tells her to keep working hard, and Henblitz remarks that it was a very bold move to suddenly switch her weapons from dual blades to a longsword. Beryl replies that it is the right fit for her and will make her stronger, and Henblitz replies that he wants her to become stronger soon because they have some urgent matter at hand. Beryl inquires about it and learns that a group of thieves who call themselves the Dark Hand of Twilight have started working in the capital, and the Royal Knights are trying to investigate them with other forces. Henblitz says that once they find their hideout, they will destroy the group entirely, and Beryl agrees with the idea. He says that the Knights probably won't lose even if their numbers are equal to the thieves, but he recommends having an unfair advantage to make sure that nothing goes wrong. Henblitz thinks that Beryl is interested in helping them, and he asks him to leave the rough task to him. Beryl just wipes his sweat because he was almost roped into fighting some thieves. Suddenly, he takes out the thief girl's pendant to ask Henblitz to find its owner. But just then, Kuruni comes there and asks if he plans to gift it to Alucia. Henblitz joins her and praises Beryl's taste, but he freaks out because he doesn't know how to react to this. He then tells his two students the story of his encounter with the thief girl and how she startled him by using magic, so he had to let her go. Henblitz and Kuruni are confused by his story because using magic is a rare and valuable talent, and anyone who can do so should not need to pick pockets. Henblitz suggests that maybe the thief was using some magic accessories that she had stolen earlier. Kuruni changes the topic and asks Beryl what he wants to do with a pendant, and he replies that he wants to return it to its owner because it might be stolen too. Henblitz tells him to turn it over to the receptionist at the night order, and Beryl does that before heading home, relieved. He doesn't want to get involved in the case any further, but the death stare the girl gave him last night still bothers him. Just then, he walks past an advertisement board and begins looking for something that interests him, and suddenly, he hears a girl cussing loudly as she searches for something. Beryl asks her if she lost something, but the girl, Mui, is already pissed enough to handle being bothered by a rando on the street. She yells at him to leave her alone, but Beryl is already in her face and they both recognize each other. Mui attacks him, telling him to return her necklace, and Beryl feels awkward with everyone staring at them. He tells her that they should not attract too much attention to themselves and takes her to a quiet street where he asks her if she stole the pendant. Mui replies that it was hers, and Beryl believes her. He tells her that he gave it to the Night Order as lost property, and Mui gets anxious because now getting the pendant back won't be easy. However, Beryl has her covered, and he asks her to come with him because he can help her prove that the pendant belongs to her. Mui doesn't fully trust him, but she angrily follows him. Beryl tries to initiate small talk with her, but she is not interested at all. And when he tells her to stop doing dangerous things, she turns her face away. Beryl feels that she knows that what she is doing is wrong, and that makes him more curious about her story. Soon he gets the pendant back from the Night Order, and Mui goes feral as she tries to get it from his hands. Beryl tells her to wait, and just then Alucia arrives there. One look at Mui and she immediately thinks she is Beryl's secret child or something, but he tells her it is not the case. He goes to her office and tells her the full story. Alucia asks Beryl what should they do with the girl, but Mui knows her rights and tells her that she can't arrest her unless she catches her in the act. She then demands Beryl to return her pendant, and when he asks if she will stop picking pockets if he does that, she refuses. Alucia tells Mui that she has great potential if she can use magic at her age, and she asks her not to waste her talent like this. Beryl also encourages her to tell them if she is facing any problem because they help her, and Mui decides to open up to them. so that she can get her pendant back. She tells them that a man promised to bring her dead sister back to life if she paid him 5 million coins. And since she couldn't get that money quickly another way, she became a thief. Both Beryl and Alucia realize that she is being scammed by a bad guy, but they can't tell her the truth so directly. Alucia leaves the room for some important business first. And then Beryl notices that Mui is really hungry. He buys some bread for her. And as Mui bites into the whole freaking loaf, he tells her that he wanted to see her again after last night, and it was fate that brought them together. He assures her that he can help her and things will turn out well in the end, but Mui doesn't care about his words. Defeated, Beryl returns her pendant, and Mui tells him that she is leaving now. However, before she can go outside the room, Alucia returns with Lucy by her side. Lucy is curious to see if Mui really has any talent for magic, but the girl refuses to talk with someone who looks much younger than her. Lucy shows off her skills by setting the teacup on fire to warm it, and Mui gets scared of her. Lucy then orders her to enroll in the Magic Academy, but Mui refuses, saying that she has to earn 5 million coins quickly so that she can revive her sister. Lucy gets to business and tells her that the magic to bring back dead people doesn't exist. Mui feels her world shattering as she hears this and tries to argue, and even Beryl asks Lucy to stop, but she replies that it is better if the girl learns the truth before it is too late. Mui refuses to believe her and says that she saw the wizard use magic to bring her sister back to life temporarily. She says that as long as she keeps paying money, her sister's body will not decay, and when she deposits the full amount, the wizard will bring her back to life. Lucy is tired of explaining to the dimwit that resurrection magic is not real, so she asks her to reveal the name of the wizard so that she can confront him and learn if he is speaking the truth. Mui is reluctant to tell her anything, but Lucy convinces her to give up the wizard's name by saying that if he really can bring the dead back to life, she will pay the 5 million coins from her pocket. Mui reveals that the man calls himself Twilight, and Lucy asks her to take her to his hideout. Alucia decides to come along too because Lucy might need backup, but she refuses to take the knights with her because they attract too much attention. Instead, she wants Beryl to come with her because she knows he is worried about the girl. Mui leads the two of them to the hideout of the gang called Dark Hand of Twilight, and they are surprised to find that it is not far away from the main road. Once they reach the building, Beryl starts feeling like he should have got a real sword for the mission, but Lucy tells him that with his skills, a wooden sword will be enough. She starts walking towards the door, but Mui tells her that the gate doesn't open and they have to use the door in the back. Unfortunately, Lucy is not in the mood to take any detours, and she uses her magic to blow open the door. The thieves hiding inside are shocked to see intruders, and one of them tries to scare Lucy away, only to get sent flying by her magic. She tells the thieves that she is here to talk with their leader and not the bottom feeders, and just then she senses that he is downstairs. She decides to go and have a chat with him and leaves the thieves upstairs to Beryl. Beryl draws his wooden sword, and the thieves get offended because they think he is underestimating them. One of them curses Mui for bringing enemies to their lair and charges at her, but Beryl gets in the way and knocks him down with just one hit. As the fight begins upstairs, Lucy reaches the basement where the wizard named Twilight is sitting on top of a coffin. She confronts him about his claims to bring the dead back to life, and Twilight replies that he never imagined that the commander of the Magic Corps would come to see him personally. He immediately uses a magic accessory to create a huge chunk of ice to trap her, but Lucy immediately melts it. She remarks that Twilight has some powerful magic items, and he decides to show her that he has got more of them. He uses another bracelet to lift everything in the room up, and Lucy realizes that he used it to move the corpse and fool Mui. Twilight laughs, calling Mui a dumb brat who was so easy to trick, and Lucy shoots a fireball at him. He deflects it using magic, and then Lucy calls him a kid for using toys and thinking they make him a real wizard. Twilight gets offended by this and begins charging a fireball using his bracelet, but Lucy uses a special spell to send him flying before he can even realize it. Upstairs, Beryl knocks out the thieves without even breaking a sweat, and once he is done, Lucy returns. Beryl asks if she did her job too, and she brings Twilight, who has given up hope to even stand up against her. She slams him on the ground and asks him to tell the truth to Mui if he doesn't want to get hit by her spells again. Twilight says that resurrection magic doesn't exist, as he asks Lucy to spare him. Mui is devastated on confirming the truth, and Lucy decides to leave her alone with Beryl while she contacts the Night Order to arrest the thieves. Beryl and Mui go downstairs to find the coffins empty, and Mui feels that she has nothing to live for anymore. She wonders what can she even do now, and Beryl tells her that everything will be fine, and it is the job of adults like him to help her figure it out. Soon after that, Lucy returns with the knights who arrest the thieves and take them away. Lucy tells them that Twilight didn't really seem like a boss character, so she is sure someone was controlling him, and she asks Alucia to continue the investigation. Alucia and Henblitz take the thieves away with that, and Lucy decides to take Mui's custody for the time being. However, just as all of them head home, the guy controlling Twilight comes there and uses his magic to cause him to blow up from the inside so that he doesn't talk. The man then returns to his boss, the Pope, who is the one behind the thieves. He has coffins full of dead bodies lined up in the church, and he tells his lackey that he did good by silencing Twilight because now they can perform a great miracle without anyone disturbing them. The next day, after Beryl is done with training the knights, Alucia approaches him and whispers that they need to talk in private. She takes him to her office where she reveals that the magician named Twilight died while they were taking him to the prison. They found the remains of a magic device inside him that caused him to explode. And currently the knights are investigating the matter with the help of the magic core. Beryl is taken back by this, and he learns that Twilight's lackey didn't know anything about where the preserved bodies went. Beryl thinks this is definitely suspicious, and now he is sure that Lucy was right when she said that someone is controlling Twilight like a puppet. After that, Beryl goes to Boulder's shop along with Karuni, and the master blacksmith has finished making a sword for him using the griffin's leg. Beryl is impressed by the sword, but he thinks that it might be too much for a regular old guy like him. However, Kearney hypes him up, saying that it will be a perfect fit for him, and she is excited to see how well it performs. Beryl tells her that they will try it out as soon as they reach the training grounds, but as they leave the shop, they find Lucy waiting for them. She tells Beryl that they need to talk in private, and he tells Karuni that the sword's test run is postponed. Lucy then takes Beryl to her huge mansion, and he asks her about Mui's update. Lucy says that currently she is trying to encourage her to join the Magic Academy, but it is not an easy job. Once they reach inside, Beryl sees an unfamiliar face, and Lucy introduces himself as Ibroi, a priest from the Church of Sen. Beryl knows that the Church of Sen is a religion founded by their neighboring nation, and he wonders why a priest is here. Lucy tells him that all the magic tools Twilight had on him were made in the nation of Sven. And Ibroi adds that the person who delivered them to Twilight was Bishop Rivios. The bishop also made him collect dead bodies in return for the magic items, and now it is clear that Twilight was working for him the entire time. Beryl is confused about why a bishop would need dead bodies, and Ibroi tells him that it is for the miracle of Sven. Lucy explains that in Spian they refer to magic as miracles, and Ibroi says that among the many miracles, the greatest one is the resurrection of the dead. However, it is said to have been performed only by their god, and many people believe that it is just a myth. Ibroi says that Bishop Rivios is researching this miracle using the dead bodies, but doing something to stop him is not that easy. Right now, he is in this kingdom, and Lucy says that the Night Order has sent him summons to act as a witness for a case tomorrow. She hopes that he peacefully complies with the order, because if he runs to his country, they can't do anything about him without creating tension between the two nations. Beryl gets a bad feeling about the direction this thing is heading in, and then Ibroi confirms his doubts by saying that if Revios tries to escape, he should be the one to capture him. Lucy says that if the Knights or the Magic Corps take any action, it can lead to an international incident. But Beryl is basically a freelancer, so he can arrest the bishop without too much trouble. She tells him that Alucia has also given the thumbs up for this mission, and Beryl realizes that he has no choice in the matter. He begins to think that if they arrest Rivios, they might be able to retrieve Miui's elder sister's body, and that will give the poor girl some sort of closure. He agrees to take on the mission, and then Lucy walks him outside. Just as they open the door, they find Miui returning from grocery shopping along with a maid. Things get awkward between her and Beryl, but he says that it looks like Lucy is taking good care of her. Miui gets mad at this and asks why are they being nice to her when she was a criminal just a couple days ago. She asks why do they care so much about her, and Beryl realizes that she is just confused about the sudden changes in her life. He tells her that she doesn't need to worry about these things because she is just a kid, and it is the duty of adults to look after children. He tells her to accept the kindness of the people around her because they won't hurt her or take advantage of her. But Miui finds it hard to accept. Beryl tells her that if she feels so bad about receiving things, she can pay him back by buying him dinner once she grows up. He tries to give her a head pat, but she pushes his hand away because she is still not comfortable with the idea of being loved. Beryl decides to let her take the time she needs, and he leaves the mansion to prepare for his mission.
君には未来がある。子供は難しいことを考えなくていい。
子供騙しみたいなこと言うんじゃねえよ。
ここには君を騙す大人も。そうだ。
いいのかよ。
本当のことだよ。それでも納得いかないなら。
バカにしやがって。
じゃあ行くよ。じゃあね、ミウイ。
That night, Beryl goes to the local branch of the Spine Church, and he finds Bishop Rivios packing up his stuff to flee the country. He decides to infiltrate the church and arrest him at once, but the captain of the bishop's guard stops him. Beryl tries to be civil about it and says that Rivios has been summoned by the night order tomorrow, so she should stay in the country. But the guard captain tells him that the bishop doesn't need to obey their rules. Just then, more guards come there, and the captain gives them the permission to use miracles. As he leaves, the 3 guards draw their swords and use magic to enhance their physical abilities. But Beryl has no idea about that because he has never seen that magic. The 3 guards attack him with great speed, and he has a hard time parrying their attacks at once. He realizes that he needs to give it his all if he wants to win this fight. So, he stops holding back. As a guard attacks him, he steps to the side to dodge and then slashes his stomach with his new sword. He is quite impressed with its sharpness. And then the 2 other guards attack him together. Suddenly, more guards come from the other side, and Beryl realizes that he is in trouble now. Luckily, backup arrives on his side too, and the guards are hit by a magic spell that disarms them.
そんなものに従う言われはない。全力でかかれ。大いなる神のご加護よ。
なんだ？
力を与えたろう。
身体強化魔法？とんでもない切れ味だ。
Feis, the magic swordsman, and Kuruni are there to back Beryl up, and he asks, "What the hell are they doing here?" They tell him that they were just passing by, and he is sure as hell that it is just an excuse. Anyway, he is grateful for their help because they help him take down the enemies. Just then, a guard attacks him, and as Beryl blocks his strike, the physical enchantment magic on him wears out, and he collapses on his own. Beryl still bonds him to be safe, and at the same time the other guards suffer from a similar fate. Soon more guards come running there, and the girls ask Beryl to let them deal with the situation. He thanks them, and then runs towards the church where the bishop and his guard captain are waiting for him. As the guard covers for him, Bishop Rivios uses his power to awaken the dead people from their coffins. One by one, they get up and surround Beryl, and then Miui's sister also joins them. As the zombies surround Beryl, the bishop and his guard leave. Beryl curses the bishop, saying that this is the opposite of a miracle. He wonders if he should fight back against the zombies when suddenly one zombie attacks him from behind. He pushes it back, but the zombie grabs his feet as the others come closer. Beryl beheads the zombie, who suddenly bursts into blue flames and vanishes. Now that he knows their weakness, Beryl easily kills all the zombies. But when it comes to Miyui's sister, he starts hesitating. He then makes up his mind and suddenly turns around, hugging and apologizing to her before taking off her head. She vanishes into a blue flame as well, and Beryl is moved to tears because now Mayui can't get the closure she deserves. As he is busy mourning the girl, the guard captain arrives there and uses the physical enchantment magic on himself. He dashes at Beryl without even giving him a chance to get ready. Luckily, Beryl blocks his first attack, but he finds it hard to block the next ones because the guard captain is stronger than anyone he has ever fought. Suddenly, the guard captain stabs his arm and Beryl takes a step back. However, he decides that he will teach this man who toys with other people's life a lesson. He rushes towards the guard, dodging his attack and then slashing his arm. The guard captain is shocked that someone can injure him even when he is buffed up. So he decides to pull out all stops and stabs himself with a magic dagger, further increasing his strength. He launches a ruthless attack on Beryl, who takes a lot of damage because he can't block all the attacks. Despite all that, he is not willing to back down, and he calms himself as he waits for the guard captain to attack him again. As the guard does that, Beryl moves close, barely dodging his sword and then slashing his arm from behind. The guard captain turns around, but Beryl uses his motion against him and slashes his chest. He falls to the ground, bleeding profusely, but then gets up again and attacks Beryl once more. However, pushing his limits turns out horribly for the guard captain as his body suddenly starts bleeding all over. He still keeps moving forward like a madman, saying that if he has to sacrifice himself for a miracle, he will do it. He lifts his sword one last time, but he can't even swing it down and falls on the ground. Beryl is completely stupefied by this, and he asks the guard captain why would he go so far. He just replies that he won't understand and then hits the 0 HP mark, finally falling dead. Beryl walks outside the church with that and finds that Karuni and Feis have already arrested the bishop. He thanks them for their help and then turns to Rivios, telling him that he will pay for his unholy actions. Rivios doesn't give a crap about it though, and he declares that the kingdom of Sven is doomed until the church obtains more power. And as a believer of their god, it is his duty to do anything he can to unlock more miracles. Beryl is dumbfounded by the old man's crazy-ass ranting, but his mission is officially over. The next day he reports everything to Lucy, who praises him, but he is still depressed that he couldn't help Miyui. Lucy tells him to follow her instead of whining because she has prepared a good reward for completing his mission. She takes him to a pretty house in a nice location and says that he can have it as a reward. Beryl is taken back by this, but since he was planning to buy a house soon, he is glad to accept it. He opens the door to enter the house, but he gets another surprise as he sees Miyui cleaning the floor. Beryl asks what is she doing here, and Lucy says that she is going to live here from now on. He doesn't understand. So she explains that Miyui is going to enroll in the Magic Academy, but she needs the permission of a guardian for that, and she is appointing Beryl as her guardian. Lucy says that it only makes sense for them to stay together, and then asks Miyui to trust Beryl because he is a good adult who actually cares about her. Miyui hears everything silently, and then opens the door in front of her, saying that she wants this room. After a few days living in the new house, Beryl felt extremely satisfied because it had everything he needed, from the garden to the spacious bathroom. Since he had only moved in about 5 days ago, he still wasn't quite used to it. Normally, Beryl would be the one cooking while Miyui took care of the cleaning. Although they lived together, they hadn't shared many heartfelt conversations yet. Beryl was quite surprised by her decision to live with an old geyser like him. When asked about her hobbies and food preferences, the girl simply replied, "As long as I can eat it." As for doing laundry, Miyui didn't want the male lead touching it. Her habit was to soak, wring, and hang the clothes to dry without using detergent. Miyui was still worried about everything around her, even asking if she could use the bathroom, which left Beryl speechless. He didn't understand why she would ask that since it was also her home. Hearing that, Miui said she wouldn't ask again next time. It was probably because in her previous life with those bad people, she always had to be so careful. So, it was understandable to become closer to the girl. The male lead often took her out to play. Since living together harmoniously and trusting each other was quite difficult, he wanted to break down the cold barrier between them. As Miui had never tasted anything so delicious before, she was also content. Next, Beryl took her to see a famous play. He was a country bumpkin, so he had never been inside such a place. Miui in our challenges Givli. He more than Big Bunny in a bench of the capitals, Witten and decided Bing, sitting until the evening. They both thought the story was pretty good, and the actors were also interesting. The next day, Miui had to go to school to familiarize herself with the place before enrolling. She had initially planned to go alone, but her teacher still went with her to put her mind at ease. Since he was currently her guardian, he couldn't just ignore her. As expected, the school specializing in training talented mages was very vast. Entering, a teacher stood up to welcome them. She introduced herself as Faisal, the guide at the academy. Beryl had to admit that stepping in here, he felt overwhelmed and didn't know where to go, so having a teacher guide them was great. Miui, who wasn't used to interacting with strangers, also seemed tense. Inside, they were asked about who introduced them. The male lead said it was Lucy, the commander of the Magic Corps. The students there were also very polite, greeting the teachers as soon as they saw them. The children studying there could all become mages leading the country in the future, so the training environment had to have all the necessary elements. They also focused on teaching etiquette. Beryl thought it would take Miui a lot of time to get used to this place, and because she was personally introduced by the principal, she wouldn't need to take an entrance exam. When asked about choosing a major, the two of them didn't know anything. Faisal explained that mages were divided into 5 different majors. Miui could use fire magic, so she would lean towards attack abilities. There were also other types like healing and enhancement. When asked if they wanted to stay in the school dormitory, the two of them still couldn't make a decision. Because the place accepted many students from rural areas, it naturally had a dormitory for the children to eat, sleep, and rest comfortably. They were taken on a tour that left them jaw-dropped, because the living quarters for the students were very spacious, and the dining area was also clean and beautiful. It could be said that everything was incredibly wonderful, even more comfortable than at home. After leaving, the two of them had to admit that the dormitory was great. The male lead thought it would be better if the girl lived there, but with her personality, he was afraid she would have a hard time fitting in with friends. Beryl thought it was best to let her live with him for a while until she got used to it. When asked what she wanted to eat for lunch, Miui replied coldly, making him even more worried. Nearby, they saw sausages for sale, and the two of them went in to eat. Coincidentally, Shurna was also there, so they invited her to sit at the same table. Lately, she had been on missions, so she didn't know about the girl in front of her. The teacher had to thank her a lot for the new sword, and at the same time, he told her about the incidents related to Miui. Knowing that he was living together and acting as a guardian for the girl, Shurna was shocked. She was also jealous, but well, it was a decision from her teacher, so she wouldn't interfere. When asked about her life lately, the former student said that there had been many monster hunts recently. They had to do so because a delegation from another place was coming to visit. It was an annual meeting of allies, and the Adventurers Guild was responsible for providing protection during the meeting. After eating, Beryl let Miui go home first because he still had to go to the Knight's Order for work. He hoped that Shurna could get acquainted with this girl since she didn't have any friends. She reminded her that after entering the Magic Academy, she would have to compete with the best, so she should try not to embarrass her teacher. The girl also said that she knew how strong the old geyser was, making Shurna unhappy. They almost argued, forcing Beryl to mediate. Since it was also true, the girl calmed down to apologize because she considered her teacher the most wonderful person, and she couldn't accept someone calling Beryl an old geyser. Looking into those eyes, Shurna knew that the girl understood a lot. So, she said goodbye and promised to meet again later. In her estimation, the girl was a little rude, but very straightforward and would go far in the future. Since he couldn't decide whether to let Miyui live in the dormitory or with him, the male lead asked Alucia for her opinion. Hearing that, she was very surprised and jealous. Karuni thought that living in the dormitory was the #1 choice because it didn't waste time traveling, and the food was also delicious. Feis once said that the dormitory was her savior, so it must be great. What he was afraid of was whether the girl could fit in with friends or not. Alucia also thought that the best way was to let Miyui overcome her comfort zone to grow up, because protecting her forever wouldn't be good. Alucia agreed with this because she didn't like another girl living with her teacher. In the afternoon, he went to Lucy for advice. She also admitted that it would be more convenient in the dormitory. Feis also showed up and said that since her home was far away, living at school was the most convenient. Also, she would become Miyui's personal trainer. According to Lucy, because there was a shortage of talent, that girl would definitely receive the best treatment. Since she was about to become a teacher, Feis also demanded that the teacher praise her. The male lead smiled and said she was too good. Since everyone was advising him to let Miyui live at school, Beryl was a little sad and left. Feis thought the teacher was really strange today. Lucy thought that he must be worried about trivial matters. As a guardian, Beryl thought he could become a parental figure. Before, when Miyui chose to live here, he was very happy. But today he saw that she also liked the dormitory. As a guardian, he naturally wanted to prioritize the girl's choice. After returning home, the girl called the old geyser to look at the place where the strange noise was coming from. Since it was a wooden house, it was easy for mice to burrow through. He gently lifted the cabinet to the side and found a huge hole. The mice ran out from there, forcing Beryl to chase after them. Miyui thought it was okay if it was just mice, but Beryl didn't want that. In case they bit in damaged clothes and things, then that would be the end of it. In addition, mice were also disease carriers, so he had to chase them away. The girl said that she wasn't that weak, and she always had mice back when she lived in the southern district. Beryl seriously said that he wouldn't let her live that kind of life again. This touched Miyui. The mice were chased all over the place, but they still wouldn't surrender to the point where he overturned the table to catch one. Because he couldn't guess what the mouse was thinking, Beryl's reflexes didn't work. Fortunately, Miyui gave some supporting fire in the last phase, so they managed to catch it. Because she was embarrassed, the girl left to feel at ease. Beryl went to buy a ball used to repel mice so that next time if they crawled in, they wouldn't dare to stay. The male lead then went to cook, telling the girl to go read a book or do something. Then she asked to help. The teacher gladly agreed, asking Miyui to peel the vegetables. Honestly, living alone like this was also sad. Before, Errol always lived with his family and the children at the dojo, so every day was fun. Although he wanted the girl to be here, he still had to choose the best for her. Anyway, he would come back here when there was a holiday or New Year's. Sitting down for dinner, he also complimented that because of her, he got it done very quickly. Hearing that, the girl said that next time she would learn more about cooking to help. Beryl thought that was very good because she would need it in the future. Then the girl asked to learn right now, which surprised him because the dormitory already prepared food. Miyui looked surprised and said that no one said they would be living at school. Her choice was to live at home. The male lead tried to persuade her because there was a lot of delicious food there, and it would save her a lot of traveling, and she could play with people her age. In the end, Miyui still chose to stay here with Beryl, so starting tomorrow, she would learn how to cook, so that she could be useful to him. Hearing these words, Beryl was much happier. In reality, for Miyui, it was enough to have a warm meal and didn't necessarily have to eat something delicious. So she often responded to the male lead's questions coldly. This is the end of From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman Episode 7. Thank you so much for staying on this channel and watching our videos. Don't forget like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you updated with our latest content. See you in the next video.